check. Oh, there's 9 views. What?
You're
Why are there
popular.
9 views?
Time for my face to bring you fame.
uh, did you get like people? No. You didn't tell anyone, right?
Um,
Okay. Then
None of
what?
my friends are interested in CS except you and you, I guess.
You and you. See if I can actually get rid of your voice so that it would not be awkward for people. Oh, I can. Okay. Let's see what we can do. Oh no, never mind. All right. I'm gonna get started now. So let's see here. I'm gonna start working on the game object. And what I'm gonna do is first off check my function class, a class that guarantees the update of logic per tick of the game's update loop. Alright, includes other basic fundamental properties of game objects. So I think what I had in mind was essentially just for it to update. And then it's gonna call the static array, and then using the static addGo and static update function. So this should be static, right? No, tick should be static. Yeah, tick is static. So we can call that static boolean tick. And that is gonna pass in for a loop. This IDE puts squiggly lines way too fast. Integer, let's do I today. 0. I'm gonna do, actually, let's use vector. Vector Java.
So did you get the skeleton for the public class game object? Did you get that from just creating, let's see. Is that the code for Gradle or Android right now?
This is, you go into your MGA core and you put whatever source you want inside that, because the other projects will read off your main core project.
Okay. And then this was done when you created a libgdx project, right?
Yes. So if you follow the Wikipedia thing, it should do it automatically for you. I am experiencing horrible lag.
Yeah, because you're live streaming 2 things. Or, yeah, you are actually. Skype and Twitch.
Here, let me stop recording locally. Okay. Much better. Because I was recording locally and live streaming, which is probably not a good idea. If I need a faster, I need an external hard drive. Alright. Let's see here. We want to use a vector. Let's see what the Java vector is. I believe Java's vector is not what it seems. Let me double check. initialize array list, check the functions for it, and I'm gonna treat this as an array list. Array list. It's gonna hold game objects, and we shall call it geo list. Okay, let's see what we need. Cool. And so we need to initialize the array list. So let us do boolean array list. Array is initialized equal to false, obviously, to make it stable. And then when we create a game object, we're going to do if. Actually, we're going to hold on to that for now, because if we do that and we put it in the constructor every time we create a game object, it's gonna repeat and check it whether or not the array list has been processed, and I don't want to do that. We could, it's a lazy man's way of doing it, but it's ugly coding. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do to do and say for the boolean, for the boolean to check list, add to, let's say, the game object. Call it the handler for now. We don't know what handler it is. I will figure that out soon. Let's see, with our main application, the interfaces with libgdx. Inside there, we will have to add something similar to like a texture or sprite handler. Perhaps we shall add game object handler.
Are you streaming this under GameDev right now?
Me?
Yeah, on Twitch.
I am not sure.
Because there are some people who watch the GameDev channels on Twitch.
Game dev. Oh, there is a game dev. Cool. Update. It's gonna be called coding with SKK.
SKK.
Don't you have my? Yeah, you're already looking at it. So I'm gonna let me rename the thing to MGA game coding. And obviously we have a little bit of copyrighted music in the background, but luckily for us, Twitch will delete the video with 3 days, so copyright strikes should not matter for me. Game object handler. Cool. I am slightly disturbed by the style. I'm gonna set up my environment so that I have better Java style coding.
Wait, so what are you doing right now?
I am setting up my basically my environment to the way that I want to code it, because I personally don't like it when the tags, the curly brackets onto the right. I prefer it something else. I'm gonna edit this style.
Like under the loop header.
Trying to find what did you say?
Like you want it to be under the loop header when you create a loop or something. The curly brace.
Sort of. Oh wow, okay. Weird. There's usually... Is it because this is some other Clips version? I don't like to set this up here. Where? Is it in here? Ah, here it is. I think. Oh, here. Enable project specific settings. See if there's one that I like. If not, we're gonna create one. Nope. We're gonna our own. Feel free to follow if you want. It is up to you what you prefer for your style. Let us do spaces only for... No, actually, no. Tabs are okay. When I was doing Java class, what they said was spaces only. But I figured that with tabs, you can convert to space. But spaces, it's... some people just don't like spaces. So let's not do that. Use spaces to indent wrapped lines. That is fine. Braces, next line, next line, next line. I think they're all next line. Constant enum buddy annotations, blocks, switch statements, array initializers. Array initializers can be in the same line, it's fine. Okay. White spaces, no. Should be fine. This looks good. Hey, I want to show invisible characters. You know what? I'm gonna just use spaces. Mixed? What does mixed mean? Never mind. Tabs. Oh, that is some heavy rock metal. I do not need that. There we go. Comments, Java docs, check. Alright. Where is that save button? Apply. Okay. And so now that I have applied my custom styling, when I go Control All and then Control I, or I think, no, not Control I. Or just go to this thing. I don't think anyone's gonna look at the stream. It's so rushed, I guess. Project source correct indentation did not work. Lovely. Am I not using it? Okay. Oh, maybe it's because I didn't properly make sure that my code is working first. So I'm just gonna give some default values. Oops. And we're gonna return just false for now. Cool, yeah. And now let's do it. No, it doesn't work. That is weird. Let's see why this is not working here. Okay. And no thanks. Apply. Oh, I know why. Configure with space. No. Just do this one. It's KK style. Apply. Okay. Nope. Does not work. What if I did this? Ah, there we go. Cool. So not check the braces for me. That is completely fine. Just make sure to do that.
Potassium hydroxide is corrosive, zinc is a heavy metal, and manganese dioxide is an irritant. Wear gloves when handling them.
Excuse me, good sir, but do you have a headphone?
Oh no, I just opened a video,
Yes.
but then I closed it.
Okay. That is interesting. I'm gonna continue here. So with our game object, we lag. Alright. We want to find a way to initialize the goal list. There's two ways I could tackle this. The first way is what I originally planned, which was to have game object sort of be static and then update itself as needed. The second way that I've thought of was basically to have a game object handler to do something. And now what that is if you look at my other project that is in the works and is hopefully going to be published by the end of the break, if I could finish it, is that there's something called a handler or manager class for resources, and that thing here is called the texture manager. And what that does is it keeps tracks of resource allocation and any other allocation that is needed, and then it makes sure that it frees up memory and deletes memory automatically. Now that being said, however, I created some other class called a handler, which is in charge of container classes, and GameObject is one of said containers. And what a container class is any class that has resources associated with it, but is not in charge of that resource directly. And anything with that specific, such as a sprite, will have a handler instead of a manager. Now, as an optional bonus, handlers are allowed to be passed managers such that they could internally manage resources themselves. At least that's one of the design methodologies that I have thought of beforehand that we could utilize. Let's see here. That being said, this is probably not a good idea for Java-based focuses because Java does not care about dynamic allocation, and also because Java will basically delete any leftover information. So, let's see, which way should we use? Any ideas, Frank?
We should use for what game object?
Game object, yes. So the problem is, since we're gonna have so many game objects, we need a way to kind of manage all of these game objects. First way is have a static function built into game object that would do that for us. Or the second way is have a class specific to handling and manipulating game objects.
I'm not used to thinking this broad, because this is the first time I had to start a game program, but
Alright. What have you done in hackathons?
just insert some APIs.
Alright.
That's
completely fine. If that is the case, let's just leave this to-do list for now, and then we will get to possible way of doing it, because game object is one of those things that will be reinitialized multiple times, and we don't want to. Actually, here is, since this is a short game and we don't really care about an engine property, I'm gonna add a new function, and we'll call this the initialize function. And what this will do is essentially we as the person calling it in the application mainframe. So if we were to in the application create and I was trying to create the game, I'll need to initialize the function. I need to call manually initialize, and that initialize will create the go list for us. So we're going to call that equals to new array list game object. Have you seen any videos of game development before?
Yeah, I didn't really understand what they were doing though.
Okay,
Because they're normally using Unity.
Oh, okay. Do they give any comments on how everything works?
Yeah, but I don't understand how you would do it with Eclipse.
Okay. Yeah, Unity has a lot of things nicely packaged for you. So I'm gonna call this static variables. Static variables. So now we don't need that anymore. Main. And call this check is initialized. And we're gonna set that initially to false. This is the great lovely thing about Java. We can do that. In C++, if we do that, that is a pain in the butt to do. So initialize, if initialize equals to false, then we create a new list and we return true, else we return false. And so we could double check whether or not GameObject has been initialized. If it has, then we're good. Alright, I turned down the music just in case it gets too bothering. Alright, and so for the tick function, it's a average loop object. We're gonna loop through the array and then update all the game objects within it. But I need to first check the iterator for array lists because I have completely forgotten them since the last time I coded in Java. And with C++ 11 now you could just use auto, so I really remember the Java iterator. Have you guys learned the auto keyword?
Yeah, that just auto sets the data type, right?
Yes. Interesting. So they are keeping track with the C++ 11 because I wasn't sure whether or not the school actually teaches up-to-date C++ or just the basics.
Oh, well, I assume so, because my professor had a PhD in programming languages.
Okay, that's good.
And he's a professor, he's a worker at Google.
Yeah, I remember you talked about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically if he didn't do it, then we have a problem. Call this game objects. I'm gonna call it, and we will do go list dot. What was it? List array. Let's see, do I need to import iterator? Yes, I do. And so, by the way, Frank, when we code for these type of larger projects, you only include what you want. You never ever, well, you try not to anyways, do this, where you import everything from utility. At least that's the thing in C++. Not sure in Java whether or not you can do that, and it will automatically kind of optimize the system. But basically, either way, try not to do the star, because what star does is it will import everything underneath util. And there are two things. A, if Java doesn't optimize it, it's gonna import every single thing for each file. And B, if it doesn't do that, then it won't let the person looking at the source code know what exactly is associated with that file. So we don't put stars and we explicitly list out what packages we want to import.
I see.
All right, let's me do it. Okay, this is where my professor told us we could either use for loops or while loops. Let's see if there is a while loop. Here. For. So for loop is, we already initialized it outside, so let's not worry about that. Iterator, it not, you know what, just use a while, screw it. We're not gonna use C++. It dot has next.
Wait, how do you know how to write this code right now?
How?
Yeah, like how do you know you need a while loop? How do you know you had to declare static boolean is initialized to false? Things like that.
Okay, so this part here, it's one of those design methodologies, and you just kind of you set a goal. So let's say I wanted to create a game object, and I know that I have to make sure that I keep track of all the game objects. What can I do to make sure that I have that functionality in my code? And then once you do that, you start to think logically, okay, what tools you have. I know that I could have static objects, and static objects basically say that it's only one quantity for that entire class that everyone can access if you have that reference to that class. And so that is one way that I could do it, because since I have some way that anyone can access to that class and it's universal, that means I could create a static, let's say some container, in this case array list, that will hold all the game objects, and then we can update it. At least that was the first thing that came up to my mind when I was thinking about how we could attain that goal. So it requires some logical thinking. And then afterwards, the other idea that I had was, what if I had a class that has a list of game objects? And that was the second idea that I discussed previously. And it really depends on how you want to tackle things. So asking, how did I know that I should use a list, and how do I know that I should use a boolean? The truth is, I don't. And the only reason why I'm doing the way I am now is because I feel that that is the best way out of all the options that I have thought of, and I should try to do that. Obviously, if it doesn't work, then I'll have to redo the code later on to make sure that it does.
I see. So you just think of themes and add it in for now.
Yes.
And you go over it over and over again later.
Yeah. I will check, okay, this is my goal, and then I want to write down.
Got you.
And so, see if Nathan is on. Nope. What I'm gonna do is, what you're eating?
Extra hot Cheetos.
Oh boy.
Extra hot Cheetos.
Okay. Do you have water? Uh-oh. So good. I can never eat spicy stuff.
I'm a ballsy man.
Update every single game object. Obviously we need some time, or the change in time, so we're gonna have to go into in fact, let's do that here as well, so that we can just pass it in time. So then later on we'll need to check out what this value is in libgdx. And so when you're doing game design, usually what you have is you have this delta time, and what that is that's the change in real time, and the change in real time will allow us to basically make sure that our game is frame independent. That being said, I'll have to double check to make sure that our game logic will occur within the Did I do my constructor initializer wrong? Did I type it wrong? Oh, oops. Is there already a GameObject class? Duplicate method. What is that? Is there already a GameObject in libgdx? If that is true, that would save us a lot of time. But let me double check. See if there is a search function. There is not a search function. Go in here. Nope, no game option. Nope. I guess it's just some error that I have. Perhaps I forgot the Java syntax for constructor. Doesn't look wrong. I'll just do public. But it's not working. Duplicate method. Duplicate method. Do I have another game mode? No. Not here. Object dot initialize. Open the other method. Okay, duplicate Let's see what the problem is. Static. Or let me just Oh, Java does not have a deconstructor. Why did I forget about that? Alright. New query task. Local task. Let's just do this one. Don't like that. Alright. So now we have GameObject that will initialize. I'm gonna keep this sample code here so that later on if we need it, we can. Oops, why is my Steam going on? So Java does not have deconstructors. I forgot about that. um, do you remember if Java has deconstructors or not?
You said the libgdx library does not, right?
Um,
Or is it just unique to the language?
libgdx does not have deconstructors. Alright, so libgdx does not have deconstructors, so we'll need to, if we want a deconstructor, we have to create the function explicitly and call it before libgdx closes. This is the dispose function, so if we were to close the program, then we want to make sure that all the game objects are properly utilized. But we're not gonna save for each game object. We're just gonna have something that some logic system to save, because if we have the game object, if we're gonna pass in some deconstructor function for every single game object, it's gonna get messy. So I don't wanna try to make game object have too many functions because we want to make it as portable and as simple as possible. Alright, so I'm gonna stop with the game object because it works and I don't really want to mess with it as of now. In fact, game object should actually be abstract so that I don't have to define the update function.
Wait, so can you scroll up and then let's go down your game object and the changes that you made real quick?
Sure.
Okay.
Let me tidy up my code.
Oh yeah, whenever you're done with it, of course. Or are satisfied.
Alright. What do you need?
So let's see. You created a Boolean value for an exit status for your for loop.
Boolean value. No, that is not the exit status. That is actually the function, the boolean to tell us whether or not the class has already been initialized for the list here. Because the list is an object, so we gotta actually initialize the list, which is called via initialize.
Wait, array list. How does that have a relationship to that
So basically,
to
what we're trying
initialize
to do
function?
is we're trying to create a class that will basically manage itself in a sense. So what happens is, let's say I was in MGA, all right. In fact, actually, I have not inserted this part here. So. This is interesting. I'll have to look into that. Okay, so basically what happens is I create a game object here. And let's say that I create another game object. I can't do that because game object is abstract. But what ends up happening is if I have some class that I create that is also part of game object, let's say character, and I say car. No, let's just do cha-cha or something. And then I start the character, what ends up happening is, since character is a child class of game object, it will run the constructor. It would add itself, a reference to itself, to this giant list of arrays, so that later on, if we want to access the game object, we can via the array list. In fact, what I should have done was create it as a map, so that I could have a specific name for each game object, so that we could just search the name of that game object and we can instantly get it in our game. That way we are able to quickly sort out each information with each chess piece within our game. That makes sense? Sort of.
Well, you started talking about how the goal list add references to itself and how it adds to the array list, but I'm not sure how that relates to that is initialized boolean value or the boolean function itself. Let's see. So the boolean function is supposed to
Hold on.
the
Let me
boolean. Okay.
Did I write anything? No, I did not. Never mind. Okay, sorry. You were saying?
Let's see. The boolean function initialize.
Oh yes,
Let's see.
here.
Yeah. Wait, that's next. So actually, for boolean function tick, it says you have a while loop. And what's above the while loop?
It is an iterator. So if you're in C++, let me go to my C++ thing here. Why is my Steam blinking? Turn off Steam. Okay, if you go into C++, this will be equivalent to, basically, if you have, let's say, a vector, then let's go into one that actually has it here. It's basically, you have a vector, right? And then you create an iterator. I used auto, but the iterator will be equal to the vector's begin, which does not equal to the end, and then you plus the iterator. Have you learned iterators in C++?
Is that just a for loop basically?
Yeah.
So
instead
like
of
an
using
incrementer, a
integers,
decrementer.
yeah, instead of integers, I use an iterator, which is a specific class that makes it less ugly by not using integers. That's essentially it. Yeah. So I'll access it like in C++. I'll access it like a pointer, and then I could access the object for each vector or map. So it's the same idea within Java, except instead of a pointer and me dereferencing it, I utilize a function. Alright. So, any other questions?
Nope, just gonna watch you go on.
Alright. So that is sort of incomplete. A, there's no deconstructor, so we have to find a way to remove the game object. And B, when we add the go, I created a function that says add go instead of having a constructor do it. So, two possibilities here. First, I continue to stick on with this design implementation, or I try to code some part of the other game and then see how I could implement this idea via a handler or some external class to handle game objects. As of now, I don't know, but luckily for us, since I'm in charge of the engine and the game object, and that's sort of wrapped in itself, you guys don't need to worry too much about that. And I'll have to figure that out eventually. So right now, I'm gonna go to some other part of our game, and I already wrote down comments for later usage. Function to update each individual game object per frame. Oops. And then same idea here. Add a game object to the static tracker. Yeah, I need to first change this. Change to map. Yeah, the more I do this, the more I think I should have a game object handler, just because each game object will have to be will not know its lifetime, and because it doesn't know its lifetime, it's crucial that some handler will manage its lifetime. And it seems that I'm forced to do that for Java either way. The only instance where we're able to use this design is if our game is infinitely, we know for sure that that object will not be deleted. That is the only way. So this is actually not a good idea. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a new file. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, basically what happens is, since there is no deconstructor, the way that I set up game object is it would add itself into the list of the static list managed by its own class. But what ends up happening is since itself doesn't have any idea when it's gonna close itself, you will have basically a game object that once it closes, it still exists inside the array list, and that array list will point to a blank address memory, or it's not gonna actually be deleted because it would still have that reference to the game object, so it doesn't make sense. Let's see, let me double check here. Java does not have a deconstructor, so we can't delete objects. But once we let go of an object and we lose its reference, it disappears. Okay, I could do a quick fix. Okay, so one more thing, Frank, I'm sorry, but when I code, I will sometimes change a lot of things that I'm saying because, you know,
it's just part of the design process, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it as I go along, so
yeah, I understand.
Hopefully if it gets too confusing, I'll re-talk about what I'm thinking about, compiled in a sensible language that you can understand. Yeah. Alright, so what I'm doing is I'm gonna create a remove function, because I just remembered that Java does not have a deconstructor, but at the same time we cannot delete the object. So we could just call this function, and then it will remove from the list and then let that thing float in our function, and it will eventually be tracked by Java and deleted automatically. So that's a good thing. And so the usage for this class will be, we initialize the game object, we create some subclass of that game object, we register it with game object, we say cha-cha, and then now whenever I need to use that, we will say, let's say game object.find, find it via the name of that game object, and it'll return that game reference to that game object. And then if we want to delete it, then we say game object not remove, and whatever that game object's name is. And then once we remove it, sooner or later Java will take care of that game object, since there are no references to that game object once we leave that scope. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm gonna use a string, and so we're gonna pair a game object with the string name. So we gotta change the array list into a map. Now I was watching a lecture on C++, where the original guy who developed C++ was talking about how maps are evil for some things, and hopefully we're not doing that for now. But you know what? Our point is to make sure at the end of the day that our program is readable, it's easy to use, and that we're able to run it. And in this case, a string would be the easiest to use, and so we're going to do that, and we don't care about optimization, since we assume that we have enough power to run basic string functions. Worst to come, if it doesn't run, then we'll implement a handler to convert those strings into integer IDs and assign it to each game object. But I don't think we need to do that for now. So what we're gonna do is game object. No. Java. C++ Java map equipment. What type of music is this? This is horrible. Yeah, so I have like 100 gigabytes worth of music that I have not filtered yet. So I have no idea what I'm playing.
Wait, Charles,
Yes,
what are you doing tomorrow?
tomorrow? Nothing
Working?
much. What I'm probably just gonna. I want to finish up this game, to be honest, because I have a lot of other things I want to do. Like for example, with my C++, I'm learning to bind Lua so that I could do some meta programming.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, well, okay, so tomorrow, do you wanna keep working on this game, and then I'll just observe and see how you do things, and then is there any way that you think I should? Is there anything you think I should try myself to learn? Besides creating, because I already know how to do that, but I don't know if there's anything else that I could try with Eclipse and libgdx myself, and I don't know.
Well, you mentioned you wanted to do the AI, right? The
Oh yeah, that'd be
you were working
interesting.
on the enemies, if I recall, that you said you
Right.
wanted to do. libgdx has an AI tool add-on, so if you didn't install it, I recommend installing it on.
Okay.
And so there are some functions inside AI. Personally, I haven't read the documentation for it yet, but it's the same idea. If we were to tackle libgdx, you go to the documentation for that specific AI library and you start reading, see what tools you can utilize to complete the task that you have. In this case, if you look at your documentation for that specific class, it should have some specific goals set.
Okay.
And you
So-
can follow it.
Game UML. So tomorrow I'll just read some documentation on the AI tool for libgdx, and then
I recommend just start coding the actual code, because at this point you should be able to do that.
okay, so code basically enemy object class.
Let me check.
Right.
I don't remember what I said you need to work on.
And then I have to basically, like, what should I have in mind when I'm creating it? Creating something that your main function can access to get like return values of strings or actions, or I don't know.
Let me check. Let me see here.
Movement, mechanics. I don't even know how to do mechanics in
Okay.
Java game mechanics.
You know, the best thing for you to do right now
I could
is-
learn.
Yeah, is to actually just look at some video or some person go through the entire game development design process, and then you'll be able to understand why something works. Because when I say, create an enemy object, even though I did cover the overall design structure of our game, it's very hard to explain everything when you don't know what to do. And so what I did with the other UML is I kind of gave a brief description for each UML. But even with that, I noticed that it's very hard to catch up if you don't know what to do. Case in point, like I said, player UML. If a person doesn't know that a player has to be a game object, then, well, it's sort of hard to understand what it does. And even though I did explicitly state that it has to be a game object, but like right now I could type up the enemy UML for you, but I'm worried that it will be very difficult for you to do. So we could try, see if we could write the code for the player. If not, worst case scenario, what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue live streaming, and hopefully you'll continue to kind of understand the development process. Or if you want, you could go online to search up any development process videos, actual developers working on actual code instead of just tutorials.
So what's UML stand for?
Something. UML. Let's see. It's the design graph that we utilize. Unified modeling language. So it's just kind of this graph, brainstorming graph style that we utilize so that we're able to design our program.
Oh, I see. So just two-dimensional representation of the design process.
It's basically what you learn in elementary school with all the flowers and sunshine stuff for brainstorming, except for this is for adults. So.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, I think that should be pretty easy.
Which
Learning how to create a player class, right? An enemy class.
it should be, but if you don't know what to do, it might be very hard. So I don't know. I don't know your current progress in terms of what you know, and the amount of experience that you have dealing with this type of thing. So
Okay, so can you just create a document for me in layman terms with some simple goals as to what you want my creation to do?
yes, that is what I'll do right now, because you
And-
probably need to know what to do.
And feel free to include themes like hash tables because I was planning to learn that anyways in some data structure concepts. So
Do you need to go now?
no, but maybe around 10.
10,
I'd say probably like 10:30.
10:30. All right, about
Yeah.
an hour or so, 45 minutes. Coolio. I'll just quickly do it then. It will be
Wait, do what?
your simple thing, your enemies thing.
Oh, well, you don't have to like do the whole thing, but if you can just give me
Here,
some.
can you do the player then, since I already have it typed up, and I want to work on the engine itself so that we could have something outputted.
Oh, sure. Let me open it.
So it should have everything. Let me know if you have any questions as you look at it. I will be on tomorrow as well. I'll stay open the entire day. Probably not in the morning, probably afternoon. And then let me know if you have any questions. So you extend game object. So game object is already written down with all the functions. I'll update this once I've finished typing what I have in hand right now. And then you utilize those functions to your usage.
Let's see. Game. Oh wait, never mind. ETC mobile game. UML. Game UL. UML. So what's difference? So the difference between engine and game is game contains like the unique aspects of it, and the engine is the logic behind the game, right? It's like the what's it called? It's the engine is something that returns the same thing over and over again, basically.
Sort of. So
Runs the same thing over and over again.
that's the while loop in the game engine. But when we talk about the game engine, we're talking about sort of the the functions that deal with all the resource managements and all the stuff that is required so that game logic can run fluidly. And the game logic portion is essentially anything that has data concerning the abstract stuff that we utilize in our game. For example, health, strength, stamina. Those things are not necessary for a game engine to output text onto the screen, but they are necessary for making sure that our chess pieces, work in a logical manner.
Okay. I see. So it's just for managing things and resources.
Yes.
Okay. And then we actually create or import those resources through the game UML.
Yeah, luckily, for you, when you're doing a player, you don't have to worry about the resource management for GameObject, since I'll be working on that portion. So, yeah.
Player object.
Does that make sense so far?
Yeah, it does. I'm just trying to see what I need to do and thinking about how I'm gonna approach it. Stores integers for health, magic, strength, and stamina. So I'm gonna create the how much perspective health a player has. Like if he has 100 health units or 50 magic points or 20 strength points.
Yes.
So I'm gonna be creating the player object, just basically a cheap little starter prototype, right? For now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just remember that you have to utilize tick. So you treat tick function as your main to check whether or not health and magic is alive or not.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see. And then that's engine UML, right?
Um,
Then so player gets called by tick,
yeah.
and then it also gets called by whatever other functions that need player, right?
Yes. Actually, call it update because. Hold on. No. Tick is fine. I'll just fix my code. I mixed it up. Should be. Yes. Do you think it should be called tick or update?
I think update is better.
Alright. Then change the UML if you want, or I'll do it. It's up to you. And I'll change the game.
I'll watch you do. Oh, okay.
Oops. Bad habit of saving.
Then
No.
you change it in the function. Because I was gonna say I don't have your source code.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause I didn't.
I created the GitHub, so if you want, I could add you if you have the GitHub.
I'm gonna have to first find out how to manipulate it and get it off GitHub. Because I do have a GitHub, but I need to figure out how to actually. Do you just open it and it shows you the code and copy and paste?
Sort of. I could give you the crash course on how that works if you want.
Sure. Yeah. And with GitHub, I know that. So when I see your source code, is it as a .java file, like .extension, or no?
It should be .java, yes, because I didn't upload the compiled thing. So let me see if I could pull it up. There it is.
So I could actually just save it to my desktop, and then import the .java file into my Eclipse, and then it should be the same thing, right?
Yeah, the thing is, I'm not sure the Java build tools. I know for C++ you use like CMake, or something similar. But with Java, I'm not sure how we could utilize Gradle. So what I'm gonna do is I'm pretty much just gonna upload my core project, and then when you want to download it, you download the core project and then throw in whatever source you have um, into the project itself. It's sort of ugly, but it will make do with the small project that we're working on right now.
Okay.
Yeah. And if I find some way eventually so that it automates the process, I will let you guys know. If not, I think this will do, because the amount of time it would take for me to learn another make language is gonna be a pain in the butt. So I don't want to do that.
Okay.
Let me check though. See if I could just upload my entire workspace. That may or may not work.
Well, shouldn't you do it after like before we end tonight's session?
Yeah, right. Once I finish, I'm gonna upload it.
Oh, unless you want to do it first just to show me, I guess that'd be better.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I'm just gonna upload the source code. I'm not gonna upload the entire project, and then you just kind of pick whatever you need from the source code, I guess. Manually, basically. So let's see. First, what I'm gonna do is let me fix this line of code so that when I upload it actually has some usage. So just so you know, what I'm doing right now is not proper GitHub styles. So for those people looking at the stream, or for you, when we upload into GitHub, you usually set up the code such that anyone can sort of download and then compile relative to their IDE, and so we use something called a make system, where basically it will set up the environment relative to your computer. But those things usually take a lot of time to set up, and also because I personally have not tried a make system for Java. So just a heads up, if you were to work on a real Java project, it would look something more like the libgdx GitHub file, where you downloaded it and you had to use Gradle to build the project itself.
Oh, by build, do you mean compile?
Yeah.
Oh, so libgdx. Oh, so with the library, it comes with its own compiler.
It has a make system so that it will compile the code with your settings,
I see.
or organize your source directory for your settings. Because when I just upload the source code, you gotta manually download it and then manually try to make sure that your source code is up to date, and that's a very ugly process to do.
Yeah, I heard.
But for us, we're gonna have to do that for now. I'm just gonna upload the core thing here. So we're essentially treating this as a cloud server. So these are the two Java files. Let's see if I could just here. Oh wait, I promised that I would first fix the line of code. So laggy. Okay. Java map. Should we do a hash map? Sure. Hash table versus hash. Alright, let's just do hash map. hash map will be simpler for us to iterate. Delete hash map. So I'm going to change this into a linked hash map. So now we will delete that. Need to include delete array list.
I like the way that see, this is the reason why I wanted to build a game, is because I like the way that it makes you think. Like you shouldn't just ask questions about like, oh, what does this do? What does this do? What does this do? Because the designer himself is just trying things out. So,
Well, it happens to all programs eventually.
but I know, but like I feel like with a lot of other kind of development, like website development and stuff, where you have a lot of tools and you just kind of gotta put it together. I think with something like that, and like change very little things around. With like a website, it's much more simpler because you don't actually have to get in the nitty gritty yourself. Well, not as much as you would when you're creating a game from the engine level.
Ah. This iterator is a okay, and then we want to have a string no, local variables. And so what locals variable will do is each string object will have some kind of unique name that will set it apart from other objects. So if we have a game object, we need the name, and then we need the game object itself. And just to keep convention, I'm gonna have name here and then game object here. Just keeping with the Java convention, it is small, lowercase, and uppercase. And so now we can let's call it map. Go map. Or L map. LH. And then we go here. Dot remove. Do we have remove? Yes, we do. Oh no, let's replace. Dot. Key to be named like so. So if we add the game object, we want to make sure that we don't have an object with the same name, because we want each identifier to be unique. So we're gonna return false if the name of the object already exists within the game object. Dot contains name, then return false, and we'll basically say in the comments, object already exists, return false. We don't need to create a logger, so we don't want to do a logging object here. I need this here. There we go. All right. I think that is basically it. But we need to have a name for these game objects. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna call two types of constructors in case people don't want to have their unique game object. And we're gonna do string name. What makes that name equals no. This dot name equal to name, like so. And instead of retyping the whole function, we will call the constructor name equal to default game object name. There we go. And obviously we need getters and setters for the name. And so we will do
Did you say getters and setters?
yes, mutators, but I call it getters and setters.
Wait, getters and setters?
Yeah.
You know, I remember what that was. I just read about it, but now I forgot.
Okay.
Let me read it one more time.
It basically makes your thing more encapsulated. I think it was called encapsulation.
Oh, it's the same thing as encapsulation?
I
Or is it a type of encapsulation?
I don't remember if it's called encapsulation. Basically it keeps your data safe.
Oh. What is OOP? Oh, object oriented. Okay.
Yes. Is it encapsulation? Double check for me.
Yeah, it is.
Alright. Cool. My memory serves me well.
Public methods. Encapsulating, making fields in the class private. Any access to the fields vehicle. If a field is declared private.
Oops, what am I doing? Name dot length. Equals to 0, then return false. Setter for name of GO returns false if name length is if name equals to null or can name be null? I don't think it matters. Yeah. Length is 0. Let's see how much time do we have. Okay. Length 0 or null string. Well, actually, yeah, null string. There we go. I forgot to do something. clips, show lines. What do you call that line? Show line. Here it is. General editors, text editors. Editor, general editors, text editors. Show print margin. Apply. Okay. There we go. Yay. Interesting sound. Alright. So now I'm gonna push our thing up to the cloud. So you want to make sure though your application, the main, is called MGA.
I mean, when I import the project, it should retain its name, right?
So you should, when you set up the libgdx, call it MGA instead of main or something. That way you don't have to configure it when you put it into your source.
Okay.
It's up to you though. You could just rename the Java document if you want. Java file. Alright, first things first. I'm gonna open up the place where I want to push my thing. Right click to git bash here. So you have to download Git. You go to the Git website. You just type in Git download, and then you're able to.
Yeah, I have it.
Oh.
Oh shit, never mind, I don't.
Oh.
I forgot that when I wiped my hard drive, it got rid of it.
Git add, just in case I'm gonna search the protocol.
I do have an account though. I know that because I set it up before.
Okay. So I need to add you for you to download stuff though. Git remote add.
Oh, my username should be on the Google Drive doc. Let me find it real quick.
Okay.
Hang on.
Call this.
Okay, my GitHub is. Whoa, hang on. It's weird. Huh. That's weird. Oh, I found it. No, wait, never mind. Maybe it's a different file.
Okay, just let me know once you find it. I have the thing.
That's weird. That was in here. You could try. Well, let me just confirm. Actually, this is strange that I put it in.
Not a repository. Let me check. Oh yeah, because it's a private.
Oh, it's Lian95. Okay. Let me type that in Skype. There we go.
Check this. Interesting. Copy. There we go. You're in.
Okay, I just missed that on Skype. But did you just push it or something?
Oh no, I just gave you the access. I didn't push it in.
You just added a collaborator?
Uh-huh. So I'm gonna do pushing right now. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is git init, git remote, add origin, the name of our URL, copy that, push,
Git remote
paste.
origin.
Well, you don't have to do origin, whatever you want to call it. And then we're gonna do we need to pull, do I have to pull? Let me check. Let me create a, what do you call it? What is that name? Forgot the keyword. Git keywords. Git cheat sheet. I'm gonna look at my cheat sheet because I never seem to have bothered memorizing Git. Maybe I should. Here it is. Git cheat sheet. What was it called? Don't remember. What was it? Oh, crap. I'm gonna use Git more. There we go. Git commit. We're gonna do -m here, and we'll call it first working source push. Let's just first. Actually,
Are there man pages for all these commands?
there are cheat sheets.
Okay.
First,
Is it on GitHub's website?
it's on Git. There's a tutorial on Git, and then cheat sheets. They're usually just all around the internet.
So is it on a GitHub wiki or is it on the GitHub's website?
Git. GitHub is a website that uses the Git protocol. Yeah, it's kind of confusing for people who first
Protocol as in shell.
protocol. So Git is a protocol for managing different for resource control, and if you have Linux, it should be built in automatically, so you don't have to download it. But you'll need to look at the documentation for it, or you could just type in git help and then look at the different commands that you could utilize.
I do have a Linux OS on here, but
You don't have to use it if
I'm
you're not comfortable. Yeah.
I'm scared of it. I'm scared of Linux.
Okay.
Don't hurt me, Linux.
You are scared of Linux. But Linux is such a powerful tool.
It is, which is why it's dangerous to that uninformed man.
Alright.
Nice to meet you where you've been. I can show you incredible things. Magic, madness, heaven, sin. I saw your face and I thought, oh my god, look at that face. You look like my next mistake. Da, 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 da. Commit -m.
Alright. So someone just did a very rude thing to me. but I will not mention that. All right. First,
Oh.
not you. It was someone else. I was talking to someone, and then they didn't reply and they left. So
I see.
very rude. Need to talk to him later. Tell him that that was me. All right. First, push upload to the cloud. Smiley. No smiley faces. There we go. Oh. Okay. Fine. I will tell you who I am. Oh no, people need to know my email. Fine. Oh, crap. Should not have done that because I forgot to add the oopsies. Let me restart Git. Git add, or just git add. No, what am I doing? Git commit no, I need to first push, and then now I do git config -- global user dot email. There we go.
Star Wars: The Force
That's my
Unleashed.
spam folder.
Oh. That definitely sounds like a spam email. Do 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 do.
Config. What parameters do we have?
Magic, madness, heaven, sin. I can show you incredible things.
What can you show me?
I can show you the world. Shining, shimmering. Something. Something, something, so something.
Just so you know, my ears are currently filled with all your music. It's amazing.
Welcome. Whole new world.
Git.
Tell me, princess, now when did you last let your heart decide?
Let us call this first push to Git. Oh, I forgot to add. Bleh. I was worried of what I was doing. First push to Git. There we go.
Are there certain themes on Git that are that need special permissions? Certain commands?
For what we need to do right now, I don't think so, because once you log into your username, it should automatically
That you do anything.
do all that. Wow, my friend is a jerk. Alright. Logs off and then logs back in when I'm not looking. Git. Push. Origin. First off, let's check out another branch. So that... Can I just git push origin a new branch? Let's just call it engine. Can I do that? No, I have to create my own branch. Hold on. Let me see what the command is for that. Git push branch. could do git checkout dash b, the branch name. So I do git checkout dash b, and let's call this engine. And then git push origin local master branch, which we shall call engine to engine.
Egg 9. Egg 9 to engine.
Oh, oops. Can you double check errors? Hopefully it works now. Oops. Are you kidding me?
You have to spell your name right.
Yeah, I have a new keyboard, so I blame my keyboard. Well, actually, I blame my entire new computer.
New laptop?
Yes. Done! Alright. And so now,
Nice.
I like your British accent. Now if we look, and we first refresh the screen, it should be an engine. Yay! It works. Boot. Actually, the Gradle thing is misleading. I should probably delete that when I have the chance. There we go. So we successfully pushed our first game prototype into the cloud via Git.
Ooh.
So this is one small step for our game engine, one giant leap for no one.
Or frankly.
Sure. Personally, though, we still have a long way to go.
No.
Um,
Many large leaps ahead of us.
yes. Alright. So, I guess with the leftover time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on the good stuff. The stuff that is pretty complicated. And so, it would be cool if you want to watch what I'm doing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have a texture manager. Because libgdx supplies us with a lovely texture class, but it does not give us a way to sort of manage that texture so that we don't allocate too much memory. In fact, libgdx will not care how much texture classes we create. So theoretically, we can create 100 textures that point to the same file, and we don't want to do that because that's kind of a waste of our system memory. So we want to have a class that allows us to create only one texture, and every sprite that is used points to that one texture class. And that is the goal of our class for that handler. So what I'm going to call that a manager class. And luckily for us, there is a lovely design idea. What I can do is I could utilize templates to create a subsystem for managers, so that I could easily derive any manager I want for audio and texture. Shoutouts to a type of source code that I found beforehand, a tutorial that kind of taught me this ideology. I kind of modified it to what I need, so I'm going to use that method. But the idea and concept started from some tutorial that I found online. So thank you for that, whoever you were back in my day. So I'm just going to look at my C++ code because I have it written down. For first things first is I'm going to create a abstract class that will utilize this function, like so. So I'm going to port this into Java, essentially. So once I do and port it successfully, I'm probably going to create a GitHub based on this, and then whenever you want to download a engine leveled text, any manager based class, then you could do it. So I'm going to call this a manager interface, let's say, and we'll do that. So we're going to call this an interface. And so now, oh wait, actually no. Oh, it shouldn't be manage interface. It should be let me delete that. My bad. It should be right click new class. We shall call it manager. Base. Does that sound good? Manager base.
Manager base. Yeah.
Or just manager. Let's just call it manager.
This is to manage the texture and sprites.
It will manage any class that requires a resource. So we're gonna actually create a template for this manager. Actually, in Java, I don't think it's called a template. In Java, I believe it's called type something, I think. Let me check the official term for Java, so I'm politically correct here. Java templates, generics. All right. So it's a generic class. All right. So I'm gonna create a generic class, and we're gonna call this T, I believe. Yes. T resource. R source. So that way we could know that we should utilize this class just for resource-based managers. Or I'm hesitant. Can I just do T? I'm too lazy to type 4 words. Let's just do T. Alright. And I'm just gonna look, see, double check that I have the same idea. Yes. Alright. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that this class is able to take care of whatever type that it is given, and that it would essentially manage it. So at the end of the day, this class will need to have a unique map, a unique name for each texture or each audio that we have. So we're gonna cheat and we're just gonna use the linked hash map. Obviously, if you were trying to code this in an engine, low-level engine, this would be a very bad idea, because linked hash matches, if I believe correctly, either uses a lot of memory or uses a lot of processing power, and that is not very good. If you're going really, really deep leveled, you would actually create an array and then initialize it at launch by hard coding your texture and data types, so that you could just access that array with a unique integer ID. But we're not going to do that. We're actually just going to do it dynamically so that we could build it, we could implement it and increase the amount of textures that we need as fast as we need to. And so we're going to have a string, and instead of T, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a private class inside this class, and I'm going to call that a, well, in the thing it was called asset, but I'm going to call this a resource. And my music just ended, so I'm going to have to find new music. Hold on a bit here. Let's do some Kingdom Hearts. Actually,
So how did you make your first game?
it was a mess. My first game, what I did was I basically just started with an example. Really, it wasn't, you can't really call it a game. It was more of get audio to work in 3-dimensional space with a cube on top, and then have a sword.
That's it.
That's it.
Wait, get audio to work on with a cube on top?
So getting audio to associate with a position in 3-dimensional space. That was my.
Oh, as in, like if a character moves, have the sound change to where they are.
Yeah. So it was pretty sick, low-end stuff, but it was a way for me to understand how things work.
Okay. So then, did you do that because you thought that would be a good first thing to learn to make how to make a game? Or did you learn that because I don't know, just because you needed it for your bigger picture?
Yeah, it was just a mental thought process that I had, and I was just curious in three-dimensional audio, and so I did it.
Okay.
Alright, so this resource, in the C++ version, I use a struct because it was a pretty simple class, and I wanted everything to be default private, I think, or was it public? I didn't really care. I think it was just public. But basically, the resource will have the asset name, or just resource name. Let's call that resource name. Or in fact, I don't even need to say what type it is. And the object itself. And since there are no pointers in Java, we don't actually need to do that. Cool. I'm not sure if Java permits this though, so I'm gonna have to double check to make sure. Check it works. Not sure if Java allows me to cast type, not cast type, generic type and then pass it to a class as that. So we're gonna have to test that out later. Actually, I don't want it private, I need to protect it so that later on other classes can utilize it. So do you think you understand the code that I currently have?
Oh, yeah. Simple stuff, but I mean,
Just conceptually, not like the syntax.
yeah, but if I look at the program over the game overall, like obviously it's still in the very early stages.
Yes.
Um, and I think tomorrow when I have time, I will go to the library, get some coffee,
The library's open.
and well, I'll go to San Jose State's library.
Oh.
If you wanna come, just let me know. I can pick you up. But
I think I'll stay home.
I just go there because it's not good to work in the same environment of which you sleep.
Really?
It kind of deactivates your brain.
Really?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of studies to support it.
Really? Well, I'm screwed since I've been living at my house for a long time.
Yeah. Well, that's because you have to live with your family because you're under 18.
Whoa. Keep that alone from the stream, please.
Oh, it's still streaming?
Yes.
Oh. I thought you stopped streaming a long time ago.
No, I said I'll stream again because Nathan might be watching.
Okay, well, it's not like the FBI is watching.
Well, I don't know. There might be weird stalkers online. I don't know. They'll be like, her, or something.
Well, Charles Wu, who lives at 590 East Bubble Lane.
Oh.
Just kidding. But, I'll get back to you tomorrow, okay?
Sure.
And,
You have to go. So.
and, I'll follow the player, the player integer source health or whatever. And if I have questions, I'll message you over Skype.
Do you have internet over the library?
Yeah. That's why I'm going there.
Okay.
'Cause I have internet.
I'm gonna check whether or not it is true that working at your house is bad, because it could also just be a placebo, or let me check.
No, actually, it's something about it turning, like, literally turning off your brain in a sense that, like, you if you read about it, you'll kind of get what I'm saying. It's legit.
I'm not working in my bedroom. I'm actually working in the living room. So.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a different environment.
Oh, so yay! I'm safe. Cool.
Yeah, because when I was a kid, I preferred doing homework in the kitchen or living room also. But now that I'm living by myself, I need to kind of get out of the house because all I have is a room. So, yeah. But yeah, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right. Good night. Have fun.
Good night, Charles.
See y'all tomorrow. Bye. All right.